Welcome to the first officially spring edition of Vikings Update, as the baseball and softball seasons are in full swing here at Valley City State. We'll start with baseball, which opened the spring with 4 games at Midland University in Nebraska, going 3-1, and then posted a 5-9 record during their spring trip to Arizona. Viking baseball now 16-13 overall, one of just 2 North Star teams to post winning records in non-conference play. The Vikings open conference play this weekend at Dakota State University. We talked about that and more with head coach Casey Olney. Joined on the Vikings Update now by Casey Olney, head coach of the Viking baseball team. Coach, you guys are underway. You played 14 games down in Arizona, 4 games in Nebraska. 8-10 start to the spring for you. You're now 16-13 overall. Just your general thoughts on the way the spring has started for your baseball team.
I feel pretty positive about how things are going. You know, it's a lot of games in a short time down on the spring trip. Right. So guys played well. You know, we pitched it okay. Some of those numbers are a little skewed. It's a real offensive environment down in Arizona. You know, there's almost no foul territory. So pitchers probably performed a little better than numbers would dictate. Hitters, you know, got off to a hot start, that being the case. And, you know, I think we're ready where we're at right now. I like where we're at, and I think we're ready for the conference season, which is coming up.
You mentioned offensive atmosphere down there. You guys are just blistering the bases in triples this year. I think you're leading the nation. Joe Demers, I know, is leading the nation individually. Why are you guys getting so many triples?
Well, we're hitting a lot of gaps, and the fields down there are real big. So, you know, this fall we had an unusually large amount of triples, and the guys kind of picked up on that. So, anytime we hit the ball in the gap, now the guys are working real hard to get to third base, and it's been fun, and hopefully that can continue because those are big game-changing plays, and it's been a lot of fun watching the guys come around the bases. 16-13 in non-conference play. Right now, you're one of 2 teams in the North Star above 500 non-conference. You take on Dakota State this weekend in your conference openers down in Madison. What do you know about Dakota State so far? Well, we know last year we played them 5 times. We had a lot of tough battles with them. You know, they're going to pitch it pretty well, and they're going to show up and compete. And we're down at their place, which is a tough place to win ball games. But I feel like if we go down there and play our game, we should have a good chance to get off on the right foot in the conference play where we want to be, you know, and continue building on our wins this year.
And then home opener comes up April 3rd, correct?
April 3rd, that's against the University of Jamestown, I believe, which should be a big game for us as well. We're not going to look to that just yet, right, although we know what's on the schedule. So Dakota State, we're focused on them. You know, they just had a split this week, so they got a little momentum built in. They got a win this week, and you know, it should be fun.
All right, Coach, we appreciate the time and best of luck this weekend in your conference openers.
Thank you, Mark.
Casey Olney, head coach, Viking baseball team. Viking baseball also swept the North Star Athletic Association Player of the Week awards announced on Monday. Joe Demers won Player of the Week after a monster final week at the plate in Arizona, and Chip Rosales took home Pitcher of the Week after a pair of strong outings. Moving on to softball, which also took its spring break trip to Tucson. Vikings opened the season with a pair of losses at Dickinson State before heading to Arizona for 18 games. Vikings posted an 11-7 record in Arizona, including a streak where they won 9 out of 11 games. Softball team is now off for a bit before opening conference play April 3rd and 4th at the University of Jamestown. Vikings are seeking to defend their North Star Athletic Association conference title from last season. Joined on Vikings Update this week by Elle Fracker, head coach of the Viking softball team. Coach, season is underway. You guys played 2 games in Dickinson, then you went down to Arizona for 18 games. First off, you're 11-9 so far to start the year. You went 11-7 in Arizona. That's really a bulk of your games, that early spring trip when the team is still getting back into it. Just give us your overall thoughts on how that spring trip went for you. Obviously, 11-7, that's not a bad record.
Definitely. You know, it was nice to get out and play Dickinson on the dirt before we headed down to Tucson. It's a good measure of where we were. And then to be able to play so many games, I'm not going to lie, the girls were tired towards the end. I don't think we'll try and play 3 games again on the last day, but they did good. We have a scrappy team this year, and we're definitely seeing a lot out of people that probably weren't even expecting to do it themselves. You know, we're still not where we want to be, but that's good. You don't want to get there until conference tournament. So.
Yeah, you know, Dickinson State is kind of the standard right now. I think they went to the national tournament last year. You know, what do you guys got to do? You guys hung with them in those first couple games. What's going to be the difference when it comes to conference season where you guys are looking to claim that 2nd straight NSAA championship?
It's funny. I guess we just have to score more runs than they do.
The secret to the game,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. No, you know, it comes down to solid pitching and defense. They definitely capitalize on mistakes, and they'll pour it on can if you let them. But, they're like any other team. If you go in with a set plan and execute it, which is the hardest part, is the actual execution, they're beatable just like anybody else.
You mentioned pitching. You threw 4 pitchers down in Arizona. A senior, Lindsey White, 2 sophomores, Ashley Metcalf, Morgan Alley, and then a freshman, Kathleen Goulet. Are you going to use 4 pitchers throughout the season, or was anyone who stood out? Just your thoughts on, how your pitchers did so far.
Sure. I mean, they all had glimpses of doing really, really well. I think if you asked any of them, they would say that they all have room to improve, which I think is a good thing as a coach. But, we'll ride whatever one is throwing the best. And if that's all 4 of them, we'll use all 4 of them.
Right now you're on a little bit of a break. Conference opener April 3rd at Jamestown. What are you doing here over the next couple weeks?
Hopefully getting outside and practicing, but apparently it's supposed to snow tomorrow. So fingers crossed that misses us. We'll get outside and just work on the dirt, work on some things that we saw down in Arizona that we need to improve on.
Okay, Coach, appreciate the time. Looking forward to those conference openers, and good luck.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Wrapping up our basketball news for the season, excited to announce that VCSU sophomore Georgia Williams was named an honorable mention All-American by the NAIA. It's the 2nd straight year that the Vikings have had an honorable mention All-American. Williams averaged 13.9 points and shot the lights out from three-point range late in the season, helping VCSU to a 22-9 record. We also have expansion news for our conference to report. North Star Athletic Association announced last week that it will have 2 new members next season, as both Viterbo University and Bellevue University will join the conference, along with the addition of Waldorf College. That gives the NSAA 9 full member schools for the 2015-16 season. Future Vikings to announce this week will start on the basketball court, where the Viking women have signed Nia Shakeen, a 6'3" center from Fargo South. Shakeen averaged a double-double last season for the Bruins. More football signings to announce as well. Adrian Jackson, a linebacker from Plymouth, Minnesota. Archie Lamanna, a D lineman from Anchorage, Alaska. Chris Prizanzano, a linebacker from Fargo South and Fargo, North Dakota. Cole Kelly, an offensive lineman out of Oaks, North Dakota. Deshaun Osborne, a defensive back from Hawaii. Eric Davison, an offensive lineman from West Fargo, North Dakota. Grant Trowbridge, a tight end from Moorhead, Minnesota. Kyle Coate, a lineman from Castleton, North Dakota. Marcus Singleton, a running back from Surprise, Arizona. Matt Zeman is a defensive lineman from Mandan. He is transferring in from University of Mary. Miguel Provencio, a tight end from El Paso, Texas. And Travis Terry, a defensive lineman from Brinkley, Arkansas. That's this week's edition of Vikings Update. We'll see you next time.